My brother challenged me one Christmas. "I dare you to disappear for a few days. You'll see that no one will even notice." So I replied, "Challenge accepted," and I disappeared. But what they didn't expect was that the money in the family account would disappear with me. My name is Sam, and for as long as I can remember, I felt like I lived in someone else's shadow. It's hard to describe, but my life has always felt stuck between being seen and being forgotten. It began when I was young, when I understood I wasn't like the rest of my family. My parents, Charles and Martha, never said it directly at first, but they made it clear. I was the adopted child. They had taken me in because, according to them, my mother was unable to have children, and they wanted to fill that emptiness. But then, almost as if life wanted to play a joke, my mother became pregnant. Sebastian was born, my younger brother, their biological child, the one they considered the true heir to their love. From the moment Sebastian arrived, everything shifted. I still remember how their attention slipped away from me, like water through fingers. Before he was born, they hugged me, read me stories, took me out to the park. Once he came into the world, it felt like I no longer existed. I don't fully blame them. A newborn demands care, and they were thrilled with their miracle. But what began as temporary enthusiasm became something permanent. Sebastian became the center, and I became a shadow orbiting around him. My parents provided the basics: food, clothes, a roof, but not affection. Whenever I needed something more, like encouragement or comfort, they looked at me with fatigue and indifference. "Don't be so needy, Samuel," my mother would say while holding Sebastian. "You're older, act like it," my father added, barely meeting my eyes. His attention was always on Sebastian, the perfect child who shared his blood. I grew up figuring everything out on my own. At school, I was the quiet student who earned good grades because that was the one thing that made me feel valuable. At home, Sebastian received endless praise. If he brought home a decent grade, my parents celebrated it like he'd achieved something extraordinary. If he scraped his knee, they comforted him as if he'd suffered a major injury. Meanwhile, I could show up with a trophy or an injury and only hear a flat, "Good job, Samuel," or "Be careful next time." The difference was painful, but over the years I learned to hide it. I kept telling myself that one day I would show them I mattered too. By the time I finished high school, I knew I had to build my future alone. My parents paid for Sebastian's university without hesitation, even though he barely cared about studying and spent most of his time partying. For me, all they offered was a pat on the back and, "You'll manage, Samuel." So I worked night shifts at a restaurant, cleaned houses on weekends, and studied until I fell asleep on my bed. On my books, I graduated with honors in business administration and secured a stable job at a good company. I bought a decent car, and everything I owned came from my own hard work. Sebastian's path was very different. My parents funded his degree, bought him a car, and even gave him money to move into a luxury apartment when he started working. He also landed a solid job at a marketing firm, not because of skill, but because he was charming and knew how to impress people. My parents always introduced him as the ideal son. "Sebastian is so charismatic," they'd say, "he'll go far." I, meanwhile, was just Sam, the responsible one, the hard worker, the one who never stood out. But reality eventually caught up. Sebastian lost his job. He claimed his boss failed to understand his ideas. But everyone knew the truth. He arrived late, wasted time showing off, and took nothing seriously. He lost his apartment, his car, and his confidence. Naturally, My parents welcomed him back as if he were returning from some great hardship. They then turned to me and asked for financial help. "You're the oldest," my father said, in a tone that allowed no argument. "You have a good job. It's your responsibility to support the family while Sebastian gets back on his feet." They had used up their savings on him and had nothing left. I agreed, not because I wanted to, but because some part of me still hoped for their approval. I believed that if I proved myself dependable, they might finally see me as more than the adopted son. So I began covering everything: the rent, the bills, water, internet, and even the Netflix account Sebastian used all day. My parents suggested creating a family account for emergencies. "It's a good idea, Samuel," my mother said with a forced smile. "This way, we'll all feel secure." I accepted, knowing I would be the only one contributing. And that's exactly what happened. Every month, I deposited a portion of my salary, while my parents and Sebas bought designer clothes, costly accessories, and even paid for a weekend getaway with friends using that account. When I reminded them the money was meant for emergencies and that earning it wasn't easy, they laughed. "That's your job, Samuel," Sebastian said with his usual smug smile. "You're the family bank, aren't you? Keep working." My mother agreed. "Don't be selfish, Samuel. We're family. We share." My father was even more blunt. "You're not our blood, Samuel, but at least you can be useful." Those words cut deeply. They had reminded me before that I wasn't biologically theirs, but each time it hurt more. I swallowed my feelings as usual, but something inside me slowly fractured. It wasn't only about the money. It was the way they treated me, as if I wasn't a son or a brother, but simply a source of income. When Christmas approached, I decided to do something significant. I wanted to prove, once and for all, that I mattered. I rented an elegant venue and invited the entire family: my parents, Sebastian, grandparents, aunts, uncles, cousins, and even friends my parents and Sebastian wanted there. I arranged premium catering, live music, and festive decorations. I spent thousands without hesitation because I believed that showing them what I could provide might finally earn their appreciation. The Christmas celebration was full, people eating, dancing, and enjoying themselves. For a brief moment, I felt included. I approached my mother and asked whether she was enjoying the evening. "It's nice, Samuel," she said without meeting my eyes, "but don't think this makes you more important." I stayed quiet, feeling a heavy knot in my chest. Then it was time for the toast. Sebastian, already tipsy, grabbed the microphone with that smug laugh he used whenever he wanted attention. "Family, friends," he said, raising his glass, "I'm happy to see you all here. Tonight is special because we're together. Well, almost all of us. Someone here shouldn't be." He paused as everyone looked at him. Then he pointed at me. "My adopted brother Samuel thinks he's important because he paid for this party. Samuel, I dare you to disappear for a few days. You'll see that no one will miss you, not even our parents." The room burst into laughter. My uncles, cousins, and even my parents joined in. My mother covered her mouth, pretending to hide her smile, but she wasn't hiding anything. My father lifted his glass, almost to support Sebastian's words. I stood there, holding my glass, feeling everything crumble. But then, something in me shifted. It wasn't sadness. It wasn't pain. It was anger. When Sebastian handed me the microphone with that mocking expression, I took it and looked at everyone. My parents, my brother, the family that never accepted me. And I spoke with a calmness that surprised even me. I accept your challenge, Sebastian. I'll disappear. But don't come looking for me when the bills start piling up. Everyone laughed again, assuming it was part of the celebration. My parents even clapped, thinking it was a light-hearted moment. But it wasn't a joke. It was a commitment. That same night, I left the hall without saying goodbye. I went to my parents' house, collected all my belongings, my clothes, books, and anything that was mine, and moved into a small apartment I had been considering for weeks. Then I went straight to the bank. With a few clicks, I emptied the family account. Every dollar I had contributed, every cent I had worked for, I transferred into my personal account. I canceled all the automated bill payments, utilities, internet, Netflix, everything. If they weren't going to miss me, then they wouldn't get to rely on my money either. Sitting alone in my new place, I felt an unexpected sense of freedom. I knew it wouldn't take long before they realized what they had truly lost, and I was prepared to see what happened when their world no longer depended on me. The first night in the apartment felt unusual. The space was small, with plain white walls, a mattress on the floor, and boxes stacked in a corner. It wasn't luxurious, but it belonged to me. For the first time in years, I finally had a space where no one could tell me I wasn't important or that I didn't matter. I knew my family would soon notice that I was gone, or more accurately, that my financial support was gone. I had drained the family account right after leaving the Christmas party. Every dollar I had earned with so much effort was now secure. If they believed they could manage without me, then let them, but not at my expense. That night, while looking out at the dark sky, Sebastian's words replayed in my mind. I dare you to disappear for a few days. You'll see that no one will miss you, not even my parents. The sentence echoed relentlessly. What hurt the most wasn't his challenge. It was that my parents laughed along. Charles and Martha, the two people who were supposed to care for me, treated me as if I were nothing more than entertainment. I always understood that I wasn't viewed the same as Sebastian, but that night felt different. It felt like the final piece of hope I had held on to, that they might someday value me for who I was, finally disappeared. I fell asleep with a mix of anger and relief, confident that I had made the right choice. I refused to be their source of money any longer. The first reaction from them came sooner than expected. Not even a week after Christmas, my phone buzzed with a call. It was Sebastian. I didn't pick up right away. I let it ring, watching his name appear on the screen. Part of me wanted to ignore him completely, but another part was curious about what he wanted. Eventually, I answered. "Samuel, where are you, man?" His voice sounded irritated, as if calling me was an inconvenience. No greeting, no concern, just straight to the point. As usual. "What do you want, Sebas?" "Sebastian," I said, keeping my tone neutral. "What do you want?" he repeated, mocking my voice with the same attitude I always disliked. "Hey, Netflix got canceled." It wasn't sadness, it wasn't pain, it was anger. When Sebastian mockingly handed me the microphone, I took it and looked at everyone, my parents, my brother, and the family that never truly accepted me. Then, with a calm tone I barely recognized, I said, "I accept your challenge, Sebastian. I'll disappear. But don't come looking for me when the bills start arriving." Everyone laughed, assuming it was part of the celebration. My parents even clapped, thinking it was a joke. But it wasn't. It was a final decision. That same night, I left the hall quietly. I drove to my parents' house, gathered all my belongings, clothes, books, and anything else that was mine, and moved into a small apartment I had been considering. After that, I went straight to the bank. With a few clicks, I emptied the family account. Every dollar I had contributed, every cent I had worked for, I transferred into my personal account. I canceled all automatic payments, rent, utilities, internet, Netflix, everything. If I wasn't going to be missed, then neither would my money. Sitting in my new apartment, I felt alone, but oddly free. I knew it wouldn't take long before they realized what they had relied on, and I was prepared to watch what happened without me. My first night there felt unusual. The place was small, with blank white walls, a mattress on the floor, and a few boxes stacked in one corner. It wasn't much, but it belonged to me. For the first time in years, I felt like I had a space where no one could tell me I wasn't enough or that I didn't matter. I knew it wouldn't be long before my family noticed I was gone, or rather, noticed that the money was gone. I had emptied the account right after leaving the Christmas party. Everything I had saved through hard work was now secure. If they believed they could live without me, they could, but not with my support. That night, while staring at the dark sky, Sebastian's words repeated in my mind. I dare you to disappear for a few days, and you'll see that no one will miss you, not even my parents. That sentence echoed like a reminder of everything I had ignored for years. But what hurt most wasn't his challenge, it was my parents' reaction. Charles and Martha, the people who were supposed to care about me, laughed as if I were nothing more than a joke. I always knew they saw Sebastian differently, but that moment felt final. It was as if any last hope I had for real acceptance simply faded. I fell asleep with a mix of frustration and relief, confident that stepping away had been the right choice. I refused to keep being their source of income. The first sign of trouble came faster than I expected. Not even a week after Christmas, my phone vibrated. It was Sebastian. I didn't answer right away. I watched his name appear on the screen. Part of me wanted to ignore him completely, but another part wanted to know what he would say. Eventually, I picked up. "Samuel, where are you, man?" His tone was irritated, as if calling me was an inconvenience. No greeting, no concern, nothing. "What do you want, Sebastian?" I asked, keeping my voice steady. "What do you want?" he repeated, imitating my tone with that same attitude I always disliked. "Hey, Netflix got canceled. ... What happened? My friends are here. We were going to watch a movie and now you're making me look bad. Fix it. Go on. Pay the subscription." I stayed silent for a moment, trying to process what I had just heard. He truly believed he could call me after everything he said and ask me to pay for his Netflix. I let out a short, bitter laugh, one I didn't even know I had in me. "Do you find that funny?" he asked, sounding irritated. "Look, Samuel, I'm not in the mood for games. Pay the subscription now. Don't embarrass me in front of my friends." "You know what's funny, Sebastian?" I replied, feeling my frustration rise. "That you think I'm still going to pay for your things after what you said at Christmas. You told me to disappear. Well, I did, and the money went with me. So no, I'm not paying for your Netflix. Not now or ever. Get a job and pay for your own expenses." There was silence on the line. I could imagine the surprise on his face when things didn't go the way he expected. Then he forced a laugh. "Come on, Samuel, don't be ridiculous. You didn't actually take that seriously. It was a joke. Just fix it. Don't waste my time." "I'm not the ridiculous one here," I said, and hung up. The phone rang again almost immediately. It was him. I let it ring until it stopped. Then the messages started. "Don't be childish, Samuel. Pay. You're selfish. I always knew it. My friends are laughing at me because of you. Thanks, bro. Each message made my jaw clench, but I didn't respond. I turned off my phone and set it on the mattress. He could deal with the situation on his own. The next few days were peaceful for me. I adjusted to my new apartment, bought basic furniture, and enjoyed the quiet that came from not being responsible for my family's needs. But deep down, pause. I knew this was only the beginning. Sebastian could be arrogant, but my parents operated on an even stronger sense of entitlement. They wouldn't give up easily. 2 weeks after Christmas, I received a call from my mother, Martha. This time, I answered quickly. I wanted to see how long it would take before they noticed something had changed. "Samuel, where are you?" Her voice sounded tired and annoyed, as if I were a child who had left home without permission. "At my new place," I replied, without providing details. "What's wrong?" "What's wrong?" she repeated, using the tone she always used to make me feel guilty. "There's no food in the house, Samuel. The groceries ran out, and we don't have money to buy more. Why haven't you deposited into the family account? We need you to buy groceries today." I closed my eyes and took a slow breath. It was exactly what I expected, but hearing her speak as if it were my duty to support them still frustrated me. "Why don't you ask Sebastian to buy groceries?" I said, harsher than I intended. "He's your biological son, isn't he? Let him handle it." "Samuel, don't be like that," my mother said, shifting to the same pleading tone she used whenever she wanted to manipulate a situation. "Sebastian is going through a rough time. You know you have a good job. You're the oldest. It's your responsibility to help us." "My responsibility?" I repeated, feeling the anger rise. "And what's Sebastian's responsibility? To sit around all day watching movies or partying with money that wasn't his? Or yours and Dad's, who spent the family account on restaurants and designer clothes? No, Mom, I'm not the bank anymore. If you need food, let Sebastian get a job, or let Dad sell that watch he bought with my money." "Samuel," she exclaimed, as if I had said something offensive. "Don't make this harder. We are your family. You have to help us. Don't be selfish." "Selfish?" I said, almost laughing at how unreasonable it sounded. "I've been paying for everything for years. Rent, bills, groceries, and the family account you spent on things you didn't need. And what did I get in return? You laughed at me on Christmas. You said I wasn't your blood, that I wasn't important. So no, I'm not helping. Let Sebastian step up for once." I hung up before she could answer. My heart was racing and my hands were trembling. It wasn't just anger. It was a mix of relief and long-held frustration. For the first time, I had actually told them how I felt, but I knew they wouldn't stop. Days passed and the pressure increased. My father, Charles, started sending messages. At first they were brief. "Samuel, we need to talk." Then longer. "I don't know what's wrong with you, but you're being very ungrateful. We raised you, gave you a home, and this is how you repay us?" Each message was an attempt to guilt-trip me, but it wasn't working. Then, about a month after Christmas, everything escalated. My father called. His voice was filled with desperation, something I had never heard from him. He had always been a distant man, but now he sounded panicked. "Samuel, how could you do this?" he shouted, not even greeting me. "The landlord called us. He says he's going to evict us if we don't pay the rent. How dare you cancel the payments? And the family account is empty. What did you do with the money?" "What I did was take back what belongs to me," I replied calmly. "That money was mine. I earned it, and you spent it on unnecessary things. So yes, I withdrew everything and canceled the bills. I'm not your bank." "You're ungrateful," he yelled, his voice shaking. "We gave you a home, we raised you, and now you leave us with nothing. Is that what you want, for us to be thrown out?" "No, Dad," I said, feeling years of emotions behind each word. "What I wanted was for you to treat me like a son, not like an ATM. But you and Mom made it clear that I'm not your blood, that I don't matter. And Sebastian made sure to remind me of that in front of everyone. So don't call me ungrateful. You're the ones who laughed while I paid for everything." "Samuel, you can't do this to us," he said, sounding desperate now. "We are your family. We have nothing. The landlord is going to remove us. Please, son, help us." "I am not your son," I said, and hung up. I stared at the phone, my heart pounding. Tears ran down my face, but they weren't from sadness. They came from anger, relief, and everything I had buried for years. For the first time in my life, I had said no and meant it. A few days later, I heard from a cousin that the landlord had followed through. My parents and Sebastian were looking for a place because they couldn't pay the rent. Some relatives tried to help, but no one could support them the way I had. I also heard that Sebastian was searching for a job, but no one wanted to hire him because of his attitude. My parents were reaching out to anyone who would listen, asking for help, and for the first time in years, I felt at peace. It wasn't a joyful peace, but it was the kind that comes from finally choosing yourself.